Hey guys, my name is Rachel and welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, welcome to my channel. So there are a few things that I want to say before I get into today's video, and the first one is basically I want to apologize in advance if you can hear a dog barking throughout this video. My new downstairs neighbors, their dog just barks pretty much all day, every day. There's nothing I can do about it. There's not really a good time to record that it stops barking. He just barks pretty much all day, every day. He happens to not be barking now, but I assume he will be probably starting back up here soon, and he was barking pretty much all day until I sat down. So I just want to apologize in advance for that. It's not super loud, but it can be kind of distracting and annoying, so I apologize in advance. The next thing I want to go over is that just as so many other true crime YouTubers are doing, I am going to be doing some special videos for Halloween week. Now, I don't think that I will have the time to do a video every single day during Halloween week just because I am in school, so I'm kind of juggling that. But I do want to do something special for you guys. I want to make at least a couple of different types of videos for Halloween week for you guys. So I would truly appreciate if you guys left a comment below on any suggestions on things that you would like to see for Halloween week, different types of videos. Really nothing is off limits, just anything that's creepy, spooky, whatever to celebrate Halloween. I don't really have anything specific in mind yet of what I want to do, but I do want to be creative and do something different. So whatever suggestions you guys have, please let me know in the comments below. All right, with all of that out of the way, let's just get right into today's case. So the case that we are going to be going over today was honestly kind of hard to research, and it was honestly kind of frustrating because so many links and articles that I was able to find just weren't active, and a lot of the links, like I would click on it and it just straight up didn't work and it just didn't exist anymore. Or the articles that I found just hadn't been updated in a very long time. So it honestly kind of feels like this young woman has just been forgotten about, and no one really seems to be doing much to find her anymore. It is a little bit of an older case, but it's not from that long ago that I would think that all these articles and all this information would just disappear. So I really hope that this video can bring back some awareness to her case and get people thinking about her again. I'm also really hoping that the information that I was able to find is the most updated and accurate, but again, it was pretty difficult to find information in the first place, so I do apologize if anything in this video might be off, but I am just going off of the information that was available online, and I tried to fact check and look over multiple sources, and pretty much all the information that I have has been confirmed over multiple sources, but again, it was really difficult to find much of anything. But either way, with that being said, today we are going to be talking about the unsolved disappearance of Ali Gilmore. Ali Gilmore was born January 5th, 1976 to her parents Percy Walker Sr. and Larvetta Grimsey, and I'm sorry if I'm saying that wrong, and they live near Tallahassee, Florida. Now, when Ali was pretty young, her mother gave Ali to her niece, gone now, because they had some issues at home, but she was returned to her mother's care when she was 11 years old, and she moved back in with her mother and her stepfather, Carl. Now, Ali had never actually met her biological father. She actually hadn't found out about him until she was 9, but unfortunately, he had passed away only a few months before that, so she never actually got the chance to meet him, which, as you can imagine, was always very difficult for her. She did get to see videotapes of him, so she did get the chance to see him and kind of see what he was like and kind of imagine what he would have been like, but it was always very heartbreaking that she never actually got the chance to meet him. Now, I don't know exactly why she never got the chance to meet him, whether he left the family or her mother kept him away from them. I don't know what the family dynamics were like in general. I don't know if there is a reason that he may have been kept away. So I don't want to make any assumptions or anything like that. But either way, I can only imagine how difficult it must have been for her never getting the chance to meet her father. Now, growing up, Ali was always known as an incredibly hardworking and resilient person, and that can be partially attributed to how she was raised. Her mother, who was a nurse and was usually working at 2 to 3 jobs just to make sure her kids had everything, ran a pretty strict household with curfews, rules on how they could dress, and made sure that Ali worked very hard and did the best that she possibly could in school. In high school, Ali was a track star. She would practice every day after school until 7 p.m. and would run on the weekends. Not only that, but Ali's senior year, she actually got a job at Publix, where people described her as very hardworking and responsible. She even gave her mother some of her Publix money every month to help out with bills. To me, that just shows you how responsible and hardworking she was, even at a very young age, when a lot of people in high school are having fun and doing whatever they want. She was working and helping pay the bills. After graduating high school with the help of her good grades, scholarship money, and some grant money, Ali earned her way into being accepted into the Florida A&M University, where she majored in health information management. After graduating, she landed a job at the Department of Health in Tallahassee in the Office of Evaluation and Planning Data Analysis, and also kept her job at Publix, where she worked weekends and evenings. So again, as you can see, she was incredibly hardworking, dedicated, and motivated to bettering herself and getting into the next chapter of her life. A year after graduating, Ali met a man at Governor Square Mall at a booth who was selling picture frames as she was searching for a frame for her college diploma. This man was James Gilmore. James describes his first impression of Ali as thinking she was cute, thinking that she had a bubbly personality, and she was fun to be around. The second time that she visited this picture booth, he got her phone number and the two began dating. Being the hardworking and motivated person she was, that was infectious to those around her. She even helped James improve his own life and become motivated to bettering himself. He started going back to community college at the age of 29, and she continuously supported him through everything that he was doing in his life. 8 months after the two had started dating, James took Ali back to the spot where they first met at the mall, and he asked her to marry him. Now, James had already been divorced once with 3 children, but that did not seem to matter to Ali, and she said yes. People around them said that Ali just accepted James for who he was and even treated his children as her own. The two were married on October 27th, 2000 at the Radisson Hotel in downtown Tallahassee. Ali was a huge fan of the U of Miami Hurricanes team, and they were playing the same day that she got married, so right after the wedding ceremony, she headed to another part of the hotel to watch the game, still in her wedding gown with her cousin Michael. Now, according to James, at first, their marriage was pretty good. Shortly after the two got married, they bought a house in Florida where she decorated the entire thing just the way she liked. She planted flowers in the garden, she took care of the yard, and made the house absolutely beautiful. The two had been planning to have children, but they weren't in the biggest rush. Again, James did have 3 kids, but he always told Ali that he wanted children with her, and he knew that she wanted to be a mother, and that even though he already had kids, that didn't change the fact that he still wanted a family with her. It wasn't long before Ali fell pregnant in the summer of 2005, and she was absolutely enthralled. The second she found out, she called James from work to tell him the good news and immediately started buying baby clothes and started planning. However, she would be absolutely devastated when not long after she fell pregnant, before the fall came, she actually miscarried. Of course, this was absolutely traumatic for her. I can't even imagine the absolute pain and heartbreak she must have been going through to want so bad to have a child, then learn that you're gonna have one, only to suddenly have that ripped away from you for no reason and no answers why. She had no idea why this happened and just couldn't understand. This was when her and James started to kind of have some issues in their marriage. They stopped communicating and they didn't really spend much time together, which is unfortunate, but it's pretty common when things like this happen in a marriage. The two started having money issues, and Ali was understandably getting sick and tired of working her 9-to-5 job only to have to work again at 6 p.m. until late in the night at Publix. She was starting to get exhausted and burnt out. By November, as they were having all of these issues, James moved out of their home, and again, they were having so many issues that, according to James, someone needed to take the first step, so he just decided to be the one to take that first step. However, only 2 days after James moved out, Ali found out once again that she was pregnant. However, this time she was going to do absolutely everything in her power to make sure that she kept this baby. She was incredibly careful of everything she did. She didn't carry luggage. She didn't walk upstairs. She even asked her coworker to drive her home for Thanksgiving just as a precaution. She was doing absolutely everything she could to be as careful as humanly possible with this pregnancy. She cautiously started buying baby diapers and baby clothes again, and was starting to think about baby names, and was letting herself get more and more excited to finally have her first child. So during this time, as Ali and James were separated, Ali began dating a man named Dwight. However, someone close to Ali said that the relationship wasn't all that serious, and she actually still wanted to make her marriage with James work. In January of 2006, Ali had told her sister that she really wanted things between her and James to work. After all, he was the father of her child, and she did still love him. And of course, James agreed. He told Ali that they needed to work things out and fix their marriage. Those around Ali said that they believed that her and James were going to get back together soon, and she seemed extremely excited and upbeat about life. She was expecting her first child, and she was starting to work on her marriage again, and things were just going in a really good direction. They were starting to make a turn for the better. They started attending marriage counseling to try and work things out, and their first session seemed to go pretty well, and they had their second session scheduled for February 3rd. However, on Thursday, February 2nd, a coworker of Ali's said that she seemed extremely frazzled and distraught over the taxes on her house sharply increasing. He tried to calm her down, but obviously, I can see just how stressful and frustrating this probably was for her, especially as she was expecting her first child and she was already having some money issues. So just to be clear, the coworker that I just mentioned was her coworker at her health management job. But that evening, she did have a shift at Publix, and she had actually spoken to her supervisor there about the rise in taxes in her house and was telling him that she did not know how she was going to pay for them. That night around 8:45, while she was still working at Publix, her and James spoke briefly, and Ali reminded James about the marriage counseling session that they had scheduled for 9 a.m. the next morning. That evening, Ali left her shift at Publix around 11 p.m. Apparently, she had stopped at Pizza Hut to pick up some dinner and then went home. That same evening, there was a pretty severe thunderstorm with golf ball sized hail, everything like that, but she did get home safely, and she put the leftover pizza in the fridge. However, after this, no one has seen Ali ever again. Now, the next day, the first alarm was raised when neither Ali or James showed up to their scheduled counseling session. James said that he had overslept and didn't wake up until 11 a.m. He had left a voicemail at Ali's work saying that he was sorry for missing the appointment, and that was it. After missing her counseling appointment, Ali also failed to show up for her shift at the Department of Health. She didn't call in to say that she was going to be missing, but her coworkers did know about her counseling session, so they thought that maybe she was just going to be in late that day, and they didn't really put much thought into it. Also that day, her supervisor at the Department of Health was out sick, so he didn't even know that Ali wasn't there and that she had no call, no show that day. So the entire day, no one really even realized that Ali was missing. Now, the next day after that, so Saturday, James called Ali's home, but of course she didn't answer. He went over to her house that afternoon and saw her car in the driveway, but when he knocked on the door, nobody answered. At that point, James still wasn't overly concerned because, he did just miss the counseling appointment because he overslept. So he just thought that she was really pissed off at him for missing that appointment. But still, by Monday, no one had seen or heard anything from Ali. So her coworker and supervisor went over to her home, knocked on the door, and again, no answer. They looked into her window and saw that the bedroom and front lights were still on, but saw no sign of Ali. At this point, they grew incredibly concerned, and this is when they called the police. When police showed up at the home, they saw Ali's car in the driveway with her purse and her work keys inside, but her house keys and her car keys were both missing. Inside the home, it looked relatively normal. There didn't show to be any signs of a struggle. In her bedroom, her work clothes were laid out on her bed, and all the doors and windows inside the house were locked, except for one window in the spare bedroom. They checked for blood, took DNA samples, took hair samples, and searched the entire neighborhood and did numerous interviews to see if anyone knew or saw anything. They brought in sniffer dogs, used helicopters, searched on foot, but they found absolutely nothing. When they searched her desk and her workspace, they saw photos of her and James everywhere, pamphlets about pregnancy on her desk, and a CD with baby music on her desk. They found a list of different baby names: Jeza, Jalen Ali, Jamaica, and James Arthur. I'm sorry if I said any of those names wrong, but coworkers said that she wanted her baby to have the initials of her and James's names. They even found a tiny little baby doll wrapped in a white blanket on her desk. Ali was literally so excited about the life that she was about to bring into this world that she literally surrounded herself with reminders of what was to come. It's just so incredibly sad. Despite all of their efforts, they really came up with nothing that pointed them in any sort of direction. After this, authorities quickly turned their focus on to James. Of course, as we know, in a lot of cases, we know that the significant other is one of the first people that police look at. Not only that, but if we remember from earlier, he missed their counseling appointment, which is very sketchy. It's just so incredibly coincidental that both of them happened to miss their counseling appointment on the same day that Ali just went missing. Did he miss because he was doing something to her? Did he miss because he just knew that she wasn't going to be there? Also, a neighbor of Ali's claimed that that morning when he was taking his child to school that day, he was 90% sure that he saw James's car in her driveway. However, he claimed that he was at his brother's house the night that Ali went missing, and he did a voice stress test, which is similar to a polygraph test, and he did pass. He was very cooperative with police and did everything that he could to help detectives. So there wasn't really anything pointing directly towards him except for missing the appointment. So there wasn't really anything else they could do to pin him with her disappearance at this point. There was really no evidence of anything, and it just seemed as if she just straight up disappeared without a trace. They searched the surrounding wooded areas and numerous other places in the weeks and months after the disappearance, but police say that the storm that happened the night of the disappearance and the lack of leads are just making it extremely difficult to search for her. They said that the storm could have possibly even gotten rid of some of the evidence that they could have found if the storm hadn't had happened as severely as it did. Police say that they have at least 3 or 4 suspects in mind, but James has been extremely cooperative and they haven't really said much more other than that. And unfortunately, as abrupt as this seems, that's pretty much where the case ends. There are absolutely no new leads and no trace of Ali. I haven't seen anything about the man that she had been dating while her and James were separated, and I haven't heard anything else about anyone else that could possibly be involved. I don't even really know what the theories are because, again, there is such a lack of information, and It's just so sudden and abrupt that this happened, and it took 3 days to even realize that she was missing to report her. So pretty much anything in that time frame could have happened. Police have been extremely tight-lipped about this entire investigation from the very beginning. I completely understand not wanting to put out a ton of information, especially when it's so sensitive and they don't want to tip anyone off that they could possibly be searching for them. But it's been 13 years and there's been pretty much no movement in the case. It's marked as a cold case, which is incredibly sad because it feels like more should have been done and more could have been done, but it's just been so long that no one really seems to be putting any sort of effort into finding her anymore. Now, of course, there are a few theories of what could have happened in Ali's case, but like I said, there aren't really many theories online or put forth by police or really any real information to go off of to really come up with anything. But let's just briefly discuss some of the possibilities of what could have happened in this case given the information that we do have. So of course, one theory that I actually did see online was that Ali chose to go missing. We know that the day before this happened, she was incredibly stressed with the process of trying to quit her job at Publix along with the skyrocketing taxes on her home. It could have been just so stressful that she chose to leave. However, I won't spend a lot of time on this theory because we know how freaking excited she was to be a mother. And even though taxes and money issues can be incredibly stressful and frustrating, they're issues that a lot of people go through. And I'm not saying that it's not a horrible thing to have to deal with, but I just don't think that it's bad enough that she would want to leave everything behind in her life just because of these issues. Again, I really don't even think this is a possibility. I don't think she ran off and I don't think she took her own life. The next theory, of course, is that James is responsible. I think that this is probably the person that a lot of us probably jumped to initially, especially since we know that he didn't make it to the counseling appointment. That in itself is incredibly suspicious. I also want to mention that we don't really know the nitty-gritty details of what was really going on at home. It seemed to be going pretty well, but we don't really know what's going on behind closed doors. However, as far as we know, there really isn't any motive. I do want to say that those around Ali said that she was generally excited and upbeat. We also know that she had photos of her and James everywhere in her workspace and wanted her baby's initials to be hers and James's names. In my opinion, that's just not behavior of someone who is scared of their significant other, but again, we don't really know. I don't want to rule anything out, but I also don't want to say anything's a sure thing either, and I don't want to point fingers at anyone. We do know that she had been seeing another guy when they were separated, so there could have been some jealousy issues or something like that. But we know so little about this situation or the other man in general, so it's hard to say. Which leads me into my next theory, which is that the other man she was seeing, Dwight, is involved. Like I said, not even her family really knows much about this man besides what he generally looked like. They didn't even really know who he was or much about his personality at all. It could be possible that maybe he thought the relationship was a little more serious than Ali did and wasn't happy with her getting back together with James. Again, it's so incredibly hard to say when we know so little about her or the people in her life or what was going on in her life, and I never want to point the finger at anyone again, but at the same time, you never know, and it's not unheard of. These things have happened before, and they happen often. So we really don't know, and that's pretty much all I'm going to say about this other mystery man, but it is a possibility. So as far as theories, that's pretty much all we have. Again, this case has just such little information, and it's so incredibly frustrating, but I'm hoping that maybe my video can get people to start talking again. Like I said, pretty much every link to an article that I clicked on any website that I went to said something like, this doesn't exist anymore, or redirected me to a new page. It's literally as if any article that's talking about her case is just being erased off the internet because it's such an old case and no one's talking about her anymore, that the articles are just being taken down. It's incredibly sad, and I just wish that her case got more attention because it's not just her that's gone. her child is gone. She had an ultrasound appointment scheduled for February 14th, Valentine's Day, just a week and a half after she went missing, where she was going to find out the gender of her baby. She was so excited to have her first child, and someone just took that away from her. As far as we know, she never got the chance to raise her baby that was already her entire world before she was even born. It just honestly sickens me that so little attention was given to this case when we are talking about a mother and a child who are missing, and it seems as if no one cares. Ali was 4 months pregnant when she went missing from Tallahassee, Florida on February 2nd, 2006. She was an African-American 30-year-old woman who was 5 foot 6 inches and 180 pounds at the time of her disappearance. She had brown hair and brown eyes. She had pierced ears and a birthmark on her stomach and was wearing her platinum and diamond wedding ring at the time of her disappearance. The most recent number that I have found in terms of information regarding her disappearance is 850-671-6548 for any information regarding Ali's case. So that is all I have for today's video. Thank you for taking the time to hear Ali's case. Again, if you have any information whatsoever, no matter how big or how small, I urge you to contact the phone number that I mentioned, which will also be linked in the description box below. Either way, if you enjoyed this video, please make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for new true crime and mystery videos every single week. Also, don't forget to follow my Twitter and Instagram. Both will be linked in the description box below. If you have absolutely any case suggestions, please feel free to email them to me at RachelShannonCases@gmail.com. Every case that I've been covering have been suggestions straight from my email, including this one, so please do not hesitate to send your suggestion over. With that, I hope you guys have a great week, and I'm sorry about this dog barking, and I hope to see you next time. Bye!